Welcome back to KTN Prime, and thank you for staying with us. In case you're just joining us, we're set to have a studio discussion as we evaluate the latest developments in Kenya's political and governance landscape. Of course, heavily dependent on the acts of political violence that have been witnessed across various parts of the country. And we'll do justice to that particular conversation. Joining me to shed light on this matter, three gentlemen. Allow me to introduce them. I'm joined by Harrison Kenyan, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Karibu sana to our studios.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
To your viewers.
Asante sana. Equally joined by Joe Mutambu, who's a former member of parliament for Mwingi Central. It's been a while. Karibu sana.
I wish you could have said incoming member.
Incoming.
Yes.
Well, we'll get to that in just a few. Asante sana for your time. And equally joined by Onesmus Ngogoyo, who's the member of parliament for Kajiado North. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Rogers.
Thanks for your time. And as hinted, we'll start by confronting a shadow that refuses to leave the Kenyan political stage. I'm talking about political violence and the normalization of Goonism across the country. Because in recent weeks, we've witnessed a brazen upsurge in political violence, often carried out in broad daylight and under the silent gaze of authorities. And this concept of hired goons has become a standard tool for political mobilization. And police sometimes appear to be more of spectators than protectors, which is quite unfortunate, and it threatens the very fabric of our democracy. Let's start with the reign of terror that happened over the weekend in Kikuyu, where gangs paralyzed traffic along the southern bypass. We saw instances of tires being slashed, of cars being vandalized. Businesses in Kikuyu remained closed for the better part of Saturday as the residents bore the brunt of what we call the culture of political violence. And let's take a look at some of the scenes that characterized that particular meeting by the United Opposition as they tried to make their way to Kikuyu town. Our reporter Daniel Kariuki did a light piece on this particular story. We'll give you an excerpt of what exactly transpired on Saturday. Just listen in.
Goons took over Kikuyu constituency Saturday morning ahead of the planned DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua rally. They blocked roads leading to Kikuyu town as some of them demanded bribes from motorists while others burned tires. Tension remained high as supporters engaged in a cat and mouse games with the police, who kept throwing tear gas to the opposition supporters as they drove them away from the town business center. A few minutes past 3 p.m., Gashagua's attempt to access Kikuyu town was thwarted. However, he managed to use the southern bypass. Gachagua restless while addressing the crowd in a speech that took less than 5 minutes. At some point, the DCP leader was forced to wear protective gear and managed to address for the second time. But the police would lobby more tear gas, forcing him to end his address abruptly.
Okay, we've seen the heavy-handedness that was witnessed as police disrupted that planned political meeting by the United Opposition. We have a member of the United Opposition right here, who, by the way, was in Kajiado on Sunday, which was quite peaceful at Pefa Wax Church, and later on you addressed rallies in Kajiado. Were you present in Kikuyu? What exactly happened from where you sit, and what do you make of the blame game that is ensuing between leaders across the political divide?
Thank you, Rogers. First of all, true, I was present at both meetings. At Kikuyu, I rode on the same car with His Excellency, the Second Deputy President, and in Kajiado, I was also present. First, I thank God that we came out safe. I have been in many political meetings. This is among the few that the police directly shot at a car that I was in. In Kikuyu, we drove in very well past the highway on our way from Wayaki Way, got into Kikuyu. We had a lot of motorbikes from our supporters. And on our entry, 3 police cars came. One with a fake number plate was a Land Cruiser. The rest were police cars from within Kikuyu. And all they did was to try and stop us from accessing the route to Kikuyu town, which is an overpass for you to get to the town. First of all, we respect this government, but we will not be intimidated by any attempt to stop us to talk. Because what happened in Kikuyu was an attempt to deny us an opportunity to engage our supporters. Nonetheless, His Excellency, the second Deputy President, was able to address the residents of Kikuyu at the bypass. And let me say that since morning, Kimani Ichung'wa, on the supervision of senior police officers, entertained young people who are looting along the southern bypass. I have a close relative who was attacked on that road, headed to a wedding in Naivasha. Had nothing to do with the road. I have the photos of the car. They were actually planted so that there is fear, and GSU will be called in so that now it will be declared that Kikuyu is a no-go zone. We thank the people of Kikuyu. They were peaceful. You can see from the photos, the tear gas was thrown while we were talking to people. They had a notice. They were told. And why we serve them notice, it is not because it is law. We can do a gathering anywhere without any permit. It is not required. Why we notify them is to help us control, one, human traffic, because we have a lot of people. And number two, traffic police. For instance, even in Kiserian, where I held a meeting, it's my constituency, I told the DTO, the OCS, I will have guests and people will gather. Help me manage traffic. They did that very well. But constituencies where we have members of parliament who, like in your headlines, some of them, in the Standard newspaper yesterday says, power has gotten into their heads. The empire of goons. It is an era where the CS for Interior, together with the PS, supervise police leading goons to destroy property. And what we are saying to them today, Papa Donk in Haiti started off a group of young people to try and help government. The same group became gang, it became gangs, the country became ungovernable. They have literally brought the government down. In El Bashir, in Sudan, developed this thing called RFS. Today, it has brought down Sudan. Sudan is no longer what it was. What President William Ruto is courting, he found a country where there is the rule of law. Much as we don't like him, we can't get him out of office. We are patient enough to wait for the 14 months to get him out of office officially. But William Ruto wants to retain power using these people. And what we can promise him is that what he will do is he will bring anarchy to himself. If he shoots, the police shoot any of the united opposition leaders, that is the end of him in State House. It will not be possible for him to transact, because why deny an opposition leader an opportunity to engage the public? What he's bringing to himself is what is happening in Haiti.
Okay.
It is what has happened in Sudan. And let me tell you, he is a friend of the RSF leader. He's a friend. He had taken his some of the policemen in Kenya to Haiti. I don't know whether it was a benchmarking attempt, because why would you, the same things that are happening in Haiti seem to be the same things that are happening in this country. And for the information of the state and the president, we will not be intimidated. We will hold meetings. They will not stop us. They tried it, they know us, and we will hold meeting continuously. Even after what they did in Kikuyu, we went to Kajiado.
Okay.
And I also want to thank the leaders of Kajiado, because most of the leaders in Kajiado, members of parliament, they are not involved in what the state wants them to be involved in. And even those who are in the opposition, who are in, they are in government per se, but in case it is the opposition in the next government, they allowed us to have our meetings without any interruptions. But big-headed people, members of parliament who are sitting around the president, they seem to have an ego that is out of this world. I just don't understand. Uhuru Kenyatta allowed William Ruto to do all his meetings. He went even to Ishaweri. He did a meeting outside President Uhuru Kenyatta's home. He did his meeting comfortably. And if they have a problem with the churches we go, why can't they organize, go to the same church on a different Sunday, have the same pastor, ask them to, even preach to them the same sermon, so that they are comfortable. Probably the problem is where we go.
And there's some who say you're stage managing this fracas. Briefly, how do you respond to such accusations?
That is pettiness, barbaric, being uncivilized, juvenile. It is, for lack of better words, I saw the CS saying that it could be stage managed. He is actually a comedy boy. It's a big joke.
Well, let's not assassinate his character here, but Wakili, I'd like to engage you briefly, because it's not just opposition gatherings that breed political violence. You yourself are a classic case of bystanders who are on the receiving end of this culture of Goonism. President William Ruto was in Nairobi last week, Thursday, addressing the county assembly, a historic first of its kind. But what exactly ensued after that caught you in the melee?
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I'm coming from court that afternoon. I wasn't aware that there were goons all over outside my office building. So I want to access my office building, and I'm holding my phones and my files, and then I find that the main entrance is barred, it's blocked. And then I try to knock. I realize, oh, there's more than meets the eye, because right outside the entrance are these goons who are actually smoking cannabis, sativa.
In broad daylight?
In broad daylight. And then wait. Right next to, about 5 minutes, right next to that entrance, there is a presidential escort or whatever it is, vehicle with police who are there. And I could identify and I could see police officers. And out of the blue, now when I realize I'm surrounded by all these goons, there's a melee and they come, snatch my phones, and they're so daring. I mean, like I plead, okay, bring my phone. Do you want money? I mean, bring my phones. And he's right there, this goon in particular, other than the one who took one of the phone, he is staring at me like, what I do? That sort of reaction. So when I hear what Honorable Ngogoyo is saying, that Murkomen is saying this is stage managed, you have to wonder, in which country are you living in as the CS? Excuse me? Has this person familiarized themselves with Section 9 of the Leadership and Integrity Act? Section 9 says that every state officer shall take personal responsibility over their portfolio. Personal. So this is not an invitation to accountability or take responsibility. When you read Article 10, Sub-Article 2C of the Constitution, it somehow, the framers of our Constitution, bundled accountability, good governance, and as well as your personal responsibility in that sub-article.
Okay.
So when any state officer is about to embark on a portfolio, whatever it is, they have to swear an oath of allegiance. And that oath of allegiance is what binds them. It becomes like the guardrail. We now have a measurable standard against which we, the Kenyan people, measure their standard of performance of their portfolio. So when you hear a CS saying that they are stage managing their own attacks, personally I have to ask him, did I stage manage my own attack outside right there? But there were goons who had come to back up the president.
Okay.
You have to wonder, like, excuse me, and like Meshmiwa said, Gogoyo, when Papa Doc in Haiti it started off this Goonism and the gangsters and all of that, and he thought that he probably could contain it. His own son, Baby Doc, then came, and it was too much to handle because he has to deal with so-and-so, he has to deal with so-and-so, and then these militias by themselves rise up against each other. That's what we are breeding. Like he said, Did our president send our own police officers out there in Haiti to get a Wi-Fi of voodooism and that gangsterism to us? Why I ask is this? Because Section 24 of the National Police Service Act, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, up to J, it delineates the functions of police officers, one of which is the detection of crime and criminal conduct. I went, when I was robbed, to the DCIO in charge of this city, and he assigned 3 police officers, to whom I pointed, that's the person who knows the fella by name, where he resides, that stole my phones. So I go with the police officers. Do they help me?
No.
They let him go free, scot-free.
Well, just to hammer the point home, you so graciously shared the CCTV footage, and we just want to play it as perhaps we ask if it's a lack of prosecution that makes these goons brazen, because what exactly emboldens them? Is it that they have masters' protection? Simple as that. Let's take a look at that CCTV footage, if we could, of Wakili, who was making his way from court to his office in town. This happened to be the day when President William Ruto was addressing members of the county assembly. But outside, a crowd had gathered, and amidst the crowd were goons. Do we have that CCTV footage? Phones, actually. Has there been any progress, a semblance of accountability, trying to get those suspects brought to book?
I went to report this at the Central Police Station because the DCIO informed me that some had been arrested and I should go there.
Okay.
Now, when I went there, all I was given was an OB entry. Then on Saturday, I went there back again, and I was told, oh, the DCIO is not there. We can assist you. And then so I'm basically on my own. No one has called me. No one has done the investigation. And yet, like I said, Section 24 of the National Police Service Act mandates the police to investigate crimes. Now, when I went there to the police station, Central Police Station, I found no less than 20 people from that very area. And I heard that one person had been stabbed after apparently they had clung onto their phone. Stabbed, meaning they could lose their lives. Then this crowd of about 20 or so people, including ladies who had lost their handbags, and so forth, personal effects, they said all this incident happened exactly like you have seen. I was being attacked. So when a nation escalates to this level, and these are goons who have been hired courtesy of the president's visit to City Hall, just directly opposite that. It's directly opposite the city hall. So I imagine, are you telling me that the NIS, who are supposed to be accompanying the president, the police officers who are there supposed to ensure security, and also the guards who are supposed to be manning there, just took leave or absence of their senses? Is that what we are being told? That you, Kenyan people, are on your own when it comes to this sort of thing? Now you can imagine the domino effect when these people don't take accountability, because those thugs will now aggravate this, and soon enough, when there is scarcity of any sort of funding from the financiers, they will turn on Meshmiwa. Yes. They will turn on her. They will turn on you. And what will we do? We lost a very, notable broadcaster, Ken Walibora. Ken Walibora died in a similar circumstance because upon being stabbed by thugs, when he was minding his own business and he was taken to Kenyatta National Hospital, then he passed on. Is this what we want as a nation? But William Ruto, with all due respect to him, is leading the country there. Because those goons happen out there.
Okay.
Now, I shudder to imagine, so that I close this point.
Yeah.
I shudder to imagine if a police officer whom I summoned and went and asked, could you kindly assist me? That's a person who stole my phones, and he's still there, standing right there. And he was armed with an AK-47. I shudder to imagine that if he did shoot that person, the snipers up the roofs who are guarding the presidential motorcade and the president, would they target me?
Well, if it could happen to you, it can happen to anyone. And Mutambo, this is the reality we are dealing with. It's not new. It has been a culture that has been sustained over time. In fact, the CS for Interior mentioned that he can't separate politicians and these goons. Recently, I just want us to hear what CS Murkomen had to say, where he declared a crackdown on criminal gangs while he was in Trans Nzoia, saying talks are over and there's a special police unit that has been deployed. Listen in.
Mimi nashangaa mtu mwenye umewahi kukaa katika baraza ya kupanga mambo ya security, unaenda kusanya vijana na kuenda kupiganisha kutrain hao kwa kuwa goods na kuwa guns, na wewe umewahi kaa chini kuwa kiongozi kwa mambo ya security. I want to say Tanzania imekuja haibu kubwa sana. Mimi nataka niwaone viongozi wote hapa. Hii maneno ya kurecruit vijana, kuwapatia crew reports, mavisu na kupiganisha na kuwapatia banking masto. Because Tanzania is too important for us to leave it to guns and to leave to criminals ambayo wanasumbua wananchi hapa. Bwana County Commissioner, you know what to do with your county security team. Wacha kuendeleza mambo ya insecurity katika Tanzania hii. Hao watu hao watu washindwe, wapeleke kotini, wakirudi tena washindwe, warudishwe kotini.
Mutambo, you're not new to the political landscape, and it's no secret that gangs operate under the orbit of the country's political class. How do we stop this culture? Is it a failure of intelligence? Is it a lack of goodwill? Or a deliberate strategy of intimidation?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I feel for my good friend. The
Thank you.
story is not a nice one to listen, especially when it touches a friend like him.
Yeah.
So I would want to ask a question. Who owns goon in Kenya? I think we need to start there. And anybody who is alluding that goons are hired by the government is totally wrong. I am a politician, and I deal with people every day. What you are seeing here on national arena is a replica of what is happening in the constituencies. People of Mwingi Central will tell you they have never seen peace. Why? Because the area member of parliament who is in the opposition does not allow anybody to hold a meeting. If I tell you the cases in Mwingi involving the goons who are hired and kept by the honorable member, you will not imagine. Cases of people reporting that we've been beaten, we've been molested, we've been done this by the goons. Known. Some have even gone to kill. They have murder cases in court. I'm telling you things which you can go and refer. Ask anybody what is happening in Mwingi. How many goons have been taken to court? How many cases are there? Has there anybody has been killed by goons? Yes. Who owns those goons? They are owned by a member of parliament who is in the opposition. All right? Now, if you replicate that to another constituency, you replicate that to a county, you replicate that now to national. When we talk of goons assembling somewhere, who brings those goons? And it is for who? Mind you, if there is a showcase or there is a meeting somewhere in a rally, political rally, and I'll tell you what happens in Nairobi. Everybody either has an interest of becoming either a member of parliament, a senator, or whatever, and there's that show off. All those people, they hire their own people to the ground to shout their names and to show that they have the masses. All right?
So will you do the same to counter?
So everybody does that.
Okay.
my good friend, you'll come with his people, because the party leader or whoever is there, you want to show that I am the one with the support here. The other one who is opposing him, he will also come with this. So, these people, when we say the police are not working, they should work against who? Number two, what we saw and what he showed us. I know me, I like being very practical and being very fair. We see police throwing tear gases, fighting with some youth, or fighting with some people, right? So, ideologically, you'll say, these people who are fighting police are for the opposition, right? These other people who are fighting the police are from the government. So, who owns the goons there? All of you. So, why do you see a log in your friend's eye and you don't see a speck? Or you see a speck in your friend's eye and you don't see a log in yours. So what am I saying? This problem can be solved if leaders, not from a certain divide, across the divide, behave otherwise and tone down the issue of show-off and the roadside shows. If we do that, we'll bring this country to sanity. It is very immoral for any leader.
I'm baffled by what Mishimo is suggesting. Because what we saw about going on in Kikuyu, I'm sorry to take the floor, but I need to ask this because I'm lost now. The suggestion, the implication that Honorable Mutambu is making is that those in Kikuyu, for instance, had goons from the opposition and goons from maybe the local area of parliament. I'm not sure what you imply. But it is very troubling because we saw an interview, for instance, of one truck driver who said that, look, all my 8 tires were cut off and each is about 40,000. Look at the loss that I am faced with. So how do you factor that in? Because now this is an attack to property. Not
I hear you.
a person
I hear you, Counsel.
who is involved in any way.
My question is this.
Yeah.
How do you tell the person who is committing this crime is from what side? If every side is coming with their own goons, how do you tell this act was done or it is this team which did this act? How do you tell? If I come with my goons and you come with your goon and he is attacked by that quagmire of whatever it is, how do you tell who owns who? All right? So that's what I'm saying. This is not an issue whereby we can start by blaming one side. We need to be sober, all of us, because the moment we say it's government and we stick there, those of us who are not in the government or those who are not in the government, they'll take advantage and they'll continue doing whatever they are doing. So we are not solving it.
But the police are supposed to take action.
Everybody, whether you're in opposition or in the government, you must take responsibility.
All right.
Because this is our country. And it does not belong to a section of people. It belongs to all of us. All right?
What power do I have as a citizen to arrest a criminal armed with a knife or even a gun? And probably they are like now marauding. There were about 10 of them. Surrounded. What power did I have? Power?
You did not, and that's why I said it's
Yes.
very unfortunate. And you know, I also looking at the same police officer. You know our country very well. You know where we have put our police today. If today a police officer fires a shot to anybody, everyone, including my good friend here, Kinyajui, they will be saying these police are wrong. These police blah, blah, blah. Oh, where is IPOA? Where is this? You cannot know until it eats you. The moment it comes to you now is you know, oh, we really need the police here. But when it is another person, you say, no, this police is wrong, this police is that. It is us Kenyans who have put ourselves to this situation. Because now sometimes, because these police officers are also human beings. They are fathers, they have children, they have everybody.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they have their personal life to live.
Okay.
And the moment we push them to a corner whereby when somebody is executing their duties, they feel threatened, then sometimes you take a break and you say, oh, I'm not going to do this. Because tomorrow I'll be on a crossfire.
Okay, but ignorance is no defense. At the end of the day, Ngogoyo, how do we break this culture of impunity? Because it seems most politicians, if not all politicians, have their hands dirty, quote unquote. Is a special police unit the much needed silver bullet? Do you have faith in Kenya's justice system, including the police, in stamping out and clamping down on these instances of Goonism?
Rogers, two things. One, the National Police Service, there are a lot of elements that are not good. Because, like Wakili said, it is the responsibility of police to detect crime. It is part of why they are the National Police Service. Their fabric is for them to be able to detect crime. There are even instruments, there are agencies like the National Intelligence Service that should assist them to detect such crimes. Number two, how has Goonism come into being? And why are we in the situation we are in right now? One, goons were seen for the first time in town during the Gen Z demonstrations. They were meant to neutralize. The governor of Nairobi confessed that he will deploy people to neutralize the demonstrations of the young people in the CBD, and they will protect. So the governor wanted to do the work that is mandated to be the work of the National Police Service. Number two, a member of parliament from Tiati confessed to bring people armed so that they will also help protect and so that the president will not be ashamed. The governor of Nairobi mobilized and brought in young people in the name of defending the CBD. That was the birth of continuous engagement in Nairobi. When the president has visited Nairobi in a few days, specifically in Thika Road, he was in Mathare launching some, I don't know what he was launching there, but I mean, he did some laying of stones. Nobody knows what exactly is being built. When he left, motorists were attacked in their cars. Now, what they started in as protecting has now grown into, after they escort the president, and they usually lift two fingers, I don't know what are they about. When they finish that thing of theirs, they go on doing what they were doing. That is exactly what happened to Wakili Kenyan. Immediately after they were doing the things they were doing with the president there, because outside where he was attacked is where the president addressed. After he left the county hall, he came and addressed there.
Okay.
So one, what started in as shouting, as neutralizing, has grown in to theft in Nairobi. And let me tell you, probably in Mingi there's a problem. I do not know. I want to give you the benefit of doubt. In Kajiado North, I do not use even a bodyguard to address meetings. Ngong Rongai Kiserian has never, I am maybe the 6th member of parliament. The late Professor George Saitoti never used bodyguards. Even when he was vice president, he would step into Kiserian Market, he would step into Ngong. That has never happened. We are a highly cosmopolitan area, Masai region, yes, but very, very peaceful. I have MCAs who do meetings, no goons. If I need to outshine a member of, an opponent, I outshine them by doing better meetings than they do, having better crowds than they do. In my meetings, I can have people who praise me all day. They don't need to do it in somebody else's meeting. I don't need to outshine anybody. The race that I have is between me and myself. Allow me also to tell you, it is not all members of parliament who have goons. There are members of parliament I know do not trade in the business of having security around them. Why would you have security when in a public primary school, it is governed by the MOE Act, Ministry of Education? Why do you bring in people from outside? I go alone in any public school. I engage the head teacher, if they are parents. Why would you bring other people from outside? I have actually, in my meetings, made it very clear. The gate of a primary school should only be allowed by a parent, a child, and a teacher. And anybody else should get a pass. That is what governs in the Ministry of Education. They have an act that guides them. Even the BOMs are very clear who should be in a public school or not. I go there as a stakeholder. I have an NGCDF program. So I want to disagree with Mheshimiwa that on Goonism, if there are constituencies that have the late Ongondo Were, it is said that in his constituency, there was a lot of Goonism. There are regions that could have such problems. Okay. That is what CS Murkomen should be able to deal with. And lastly, in Kikuyu, there were no teams combating. We were attacked by police. The tear gas was thrown in. We know the GK number of the cars. We are giving a report this week later on. We will be sharing details of what happened in Kikuyu. And remember, we had served them with sufficient notice, and not because we were required by law to serve them. We did it because we wanted their assistance on managing traffic. They are experts. That's why they are traffic officers trained by public resources. We also needed them to help us on human control because we expected more than 10,000 people. They needed to, if for instance, Kikuyu has a stage, for us to have our rally in the stage, we needed the cars to be removed, give them an alternative for a few hours. The Matatu Association had accepted. They told us we will be free, we'll use the other side. They were to close one road for them to allow us to transact for the 2 hours that we had said we'll be there. Okay. But the member of parliament, and I quote, the member of parliament, Kimani Ichung'wah, had confessed a week before that we will not get into Kikuyu. But because he doesn't have a title deed, neither does it belong to his father or mother, we had to go there.
So with the inaction of police, what exactly are you trying to get to? Because we saw United Opposition Principals try and meet the Inspector General of Police. It didn't happen. And there's a notion going around that crackdown on political violence seems to depend on which side of the political divide the perpetrator sits. So do you have faith in the criminal justice system again?
The police know what to do. If the police wanted to arrest people who are in crime, they will. They don't need Murkomen.
Have there been arrests, Waitima, following that fracas?
Waitima, they only transferred the 12 officers. Okay. Some have gone to Northeastern, some have gone to Mombasa. We have their numbers. We provided everything. Rigathi Gachagua read the list. They've just been transferred. Okay. No prosecution, no arrest. But the beauty is, it is just 14 months. 14 months. It's just 14 months. Okay. And crime is crime. Yeah, 2 years down the line, crime remains to be crime. And let it be known there are a number of CSs today. I saw the CS, one of the ministers in Uganda has been jailed for 4 years for something she did when she was a minister in Museveni's government. Let Murkomen know, let the defense minister know that the things they are doing now, they remain crime even when they leave office. Just 14 months, they will face personal responsibility of the omissions and commissions they have committed, especially when they are in service. These are people under oath. They are supposed to protect life and property. Our cars, personally, I keep saying this, I was attacked in Limuru. It costed about 1 million shillings to repair my car. I have an OB number to that effect. The OCPD for Limuru, specifically Limuru Police Station, they have done nothing up to date. I provided the evidence, the videos. I gave them everything they needed. I even eased their job. I gave them the video because it was covered by live media. I showed them it is this person, they are hitting my car. You can see them.
And no action till
And no action taken. And by the way, for your information,
briefly here,
what is going to happen? What they have breeded today, attacking individuals, innocent people, will not live long. Once they leave office, they will not have those securities. They will be attacked the same way.
As we put this matter to rest, Kenyan, does the current law provide enough teeth to prosecute the sponsors of the violence, or are statutes only designed to catch the foot soldiers?
I think what's going on right now is very disturbing. I don't think the president has mulled over the domino effect of allowing this Goonism, this political thuggery to go on. What Mheshimiwa is saying is that he expended over 1 million shillings to fix his car, the damage. Now you go to the insurance company, they tell you, well, this is political violence. It's not covered in the insurance. And I'm sorry, you're on your own. That means that that 1 million he would have applied in investment or otherwise, he doesn't use it along that direction. And that probably 1 million may appear very small to someone who's used to billions. But when you look at the domino effect of that, it undermines the political space where Kenyans should feel safe that, and this is a time, I should say, for, and he's out there telling people that, you can't just keep shouting one term or whatever you want to shout. Show us the policies that you will articulate or you will engender when you get a power. And I feel that this is the opportune moment for political parties and anyone wishing to sell their political agenda. Yeah. So when you constrict that space and you stifle the freedom that people need in order to express themselves by, on the one hand, sending those goons or funding those goons in a manner that they breach the peace, and any person coming to listen, what is Honorable Mutambo going to tell me? Or what is Honorable Ngogoyo having in line in terms of if he was to succeed the current crop of leadership, what would he offer me? So you deprive the average Kenyan person who would like to go and listen. And unfortunately, this thin skin on the part of Ruto has grown in spite of him, like Honorable Ngogoyo has said, being offered every leeway and every opportunity by the former president. And nobody sent goons to him, although he's of a different view. So the attrition of faith among the average Kenyan people, it undermines the political freedom that we have in the Constitution. And if I were the president, I would be very scared of that, because it also has the converse effect on him, because he's going to be accosted by these thinned out crowds because no one wants to attend his meetings. And that's when now they begin paying these people to show up. Now, coming to the legislative framework, it is sufficiently there. I blame primarily the EACC because people forget that the EACC is supposed to police the ethical sphere other than the corruption. What do we call it? The EACC? Again?
Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Yeah.
So everybody forgets that the ethics beat is there. Now, when you read the Constitution, Article 79 of the Constitution specifically mandates the EACC, not me, not him, not anybody else, not even you, Rogers, to implement Chapter 6 of the Constitution. Now, Chapter 6 of the Constitution is very elaborate in Article 73. The leadership qualities and the benchmarks that are out there, as read with Article 232 of the Constitution, we set the values in public office that you must have servant leadership. So the legislative body that is mandated with that, as well as the constitutional mandate given to it, is the EACC. What is the EACC doing? It just, puts the footing around the whole thing. I mean, if it were me leading that commission, I'd have, and you hear that Shah has launched 11 billion homes. So I'm waiting for the EACC to do something. Always in this Goonism happening, I would have summoned that PCIO. I would have summoned that county commissioner. I would have summoned that member of National Assembly who said that, look, I'm telling you, if you're man enough, you come over in my constituency. Excuse me, how can you zone your political constituency? Like you don't know that everybody has the freedom of movement in this country. So the EACC is failing in its mandate.
Even without prosecutorial powers.
Hold on.
Briefly, because we need to.
Yes. Yeah. If they showed me that they got all these people and that ODPP then has failed them, that's a different story. But I also blame them, the members of the National Assembly, with due respect. Why? Because they allowed the executive to bulldoze and bring to their table the passage of the Conflicts of Interest Act. That Conflict of Interest Act, I have no clue why it was never given the scrutiny that it ought to be. It repeals Section 15, Section 16, Section 17 of, and I believe Section 18 of the Leadership and Integrity Act. And it also repealed the Public Officers Ethics Act. When you go to Article 80 of the Constitution, it says you must have that law. Now, what did it say? It said, for instance, you cannot have a person engage in tendering in the public entities if they are, for instance, state officers. So they remove that and they allow that to happen. What is that doing as I finish? It is allowing them to have this pool of resources, totally unaccounted for, which then funds the goons. And what will happen, as Mheshimiwa has said, they will get off the office. But before we can catch them, unfortunately, they passed a law under Conflict of Interest Act. Now, Section 26 says, in that Conflict of Interest Act, that that person has immunity for 2 years. So I have to wonder, really, I mean, the person who has been funding these goons, who's had access to these escrow funds, and who is actually stealing from the public, is protected, as it were, by law, which brings me to the issue of EPRA and everybody else in the petroleum saga.
And we were to get to that. I'd like Mutamba to start because he has been patient.
Because, I don't want to take too much of it. Because I have to ask, was that law being passed in cognizance of what was about to happen to such a scenario?
Okay, that's a speculation. But let's see how the cookie crumbles. Though he raises a critical issue, Mhesh, because at the end of the day, Kenyans were fed to drama in terms of the arrests on Good Friday. 3 top officials in the energy sector resigned till date. 2 weeks later, we haven't seen a semblance of accountability apart from the resignations. Add your thoughts to this particular fuel importation saga that was substandard according to the CS, who, by the way, appeared before the Energy Committee today. Well, what do you make of it? Is there accountability really in this government?
Before I go there,
Yeah.
there's something very important we were discussing. And it will be unfair for me if I just leave it without giving my good friend here some little advice for free. I've been to politics since 1992 until today. And when we say that this issue of goons came when Sakaja called people, goons have been there during even those times. I've been in different institutions. I have been to the most and worst political arena, which is football, for your information. I'm the one who started MISA, Madara Youth Association, okay? And I can tell you, I started seeing hooliganism, even in the football. And I can tell you, goons can assemble themselves without being assembled by anybody. People who support this team will come, and those who support this team will come, and out of their altercation will come out, and there will be a fight. And it is not sponsored by anybody. People came. I want to tell you for free, if I live in where he lives, and I'm vying to be a member of parliament or whatever seat, he calls a meeting, the field will be full of people. He goes away. I come in and I call my own meeting. The same field will be full of people. Do you know it is the same people who attended his rally who will attend mine?
Okay.
It is the same people. So we don't have my people and these people. It is the same.
Okay.
What am I saying? So this issue, let us, before we even start casting aspersion on people and start saying so and so owns the goons, let's understand what is this thing, Goonism. How does it manifest itself from people to thugs? From normal living people to thugs. How does it manifest itself? We need to understand that. But without having that knowledge, you will start throwing stones to wrong people, and you will give wrong impression to Kenyans that it is Kenyan who is sponsoring this, but it is not, maybe it's not him.
Okay.
So I want to rest it.
It can't be me.
I know it can't be you. So I want to rest it
Yeah.
and talk about the issue of what you're asking.
Yeah.
I am a businessman. And one of the things which this government did, which actually have been advocating for it, is that when we started what we call G2G, that thing killed so many businesses. So many people, fuel marketers, closed their shops, right? So what we are seeing today is what we call conflict of interest. Because now these players are not there, and there's a vacuum or there's a room for somebody to do something, then it ends up being done by either the officials who are supposed to be manning the gates. But what do? We associate everything which is done in this country to the president.
Are you defending his position?
I am not his, the correct position. Because anything done, you know, and this is where we need to hold it ourselves as well.
Okay.
It cannot be everything done by a human being or a Kenyan, knowing how Kenyans are. You put me in an office, I will do things based on my own interest. But what will Kenyans do? If I miss, it is Ruto. If something happens,
allow me to just say one thing that he can add.
time.
I add to it because of time. Section 6, Section 8, Section 9, Section 10 of the Petroleum Act is heaped with the cabinet secretary shall the cabinet secretary. So the buck stops with the cabinet secretary. So far as the importation of fuel is concerned, if it's adulterated, he takes responsibility. And like I said, Section 9 of the Leadership and Integrity Act, which I suggest he familiarizes himself with, it says that he should take personal responsibility.
Okay.
That's my point.
So if we say that...
Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for supporting me.
No.
I did not deviate from who owed the responsibility in that docket. What I'm saying is, it doesn't matter who does what wrong. We run to the president. And that is where we go wrong as Kenyans. Because we build our feelings against the president, and it's not the one who has done it. It is someone else.
But tell me this.
That's what we are trying, and that's the point now I wanted to take to my friend here.
Yeah.
Because when you are in opposition, you are government in waiting. And when you are waiting to be in government, and you thrive in giving threats to the officers who are performing their duties, saying that we will jail you, we will do this to you, you know that perception which you are sending to people, you are putting poison to people's mind. And don't forget that the people you are threatening, they also have their families. So when you threaten me today, that when you get to power, you will show me what is my son, my daughter, my brother thinking about you.
Fair enough.
So it will get to a point whereby now you are spoiling for yourself, thinking that you are making it.
So we shouldn't pursue accountability. As you come in, Gogoyo, it's the president himself who says that this administration will deal firmly and decisively with cartels. But at the end of the day, we've seen something that's heavy on optics and very light on accountability. Because according to the DPP, they haven't received the files, hence they can't proceed with this particular case. So arrests, staying in custody, get bond, and then what next?
On the contrary, this is the administration that will enhance, capacitate cartels to the maximum. Why do I say so? Oil is the only product that is procured wholesale for everybody. The way it is now, and thanks to the previous administration, is that all oil marketers today, Shell, Total, Rubis, do common procurement. And if Shell wins, they procure for the whole country. It is the only product that we pool together as a country to procure.
Okay.
And once you do that, everybody has oil. Now, when William Ruto came in, and you know, William Ruto, we will talk about him every day because we voted for him. He is the president. We have no other. At least for the next 14 months. He went himself to Saudi. He even reported on one time I seated in a PG. He reported that he went to Saudi, met the king there, and they have agreed on a G to G. Meaning they set a particular price.
Okay.
They agreed that Kenya is going to pick our oil from Saudi. So if we have a problem with oil, we must ask William Ruto, why do we have a problem with oil? Because he has first of all fixed us with a specific country. Remember today, Saudi, some of the oil reserves were damaged, meaning they need to repair them. The cost of fuel will go up. And let me tell you, everything rises and falls on leadership. It is the decisions of William Ruto that are leading us to the current situations. We've had other presidents. Even President Moi, bad as he was to the economy, there are a number of things he was liberal. Remember, some of us believe that a liberal market is better for anyone. Once you open it up, becomes a bit easy. So the G2G was a problem.
Okay.
It was opposed.
Finally, yeah.
Even before the death of Raila Odinga, one of the things that he had raised is the issue of oil. But right now, because oil is going to go up, we said by the sale of Kenya Pipeline, I did a presser together with my colleagues, and we said one of the schemes, once you put in Kenya Pipeline, once you privatize Kenya Pipeline, we're going to have a problem. Now listen, the EPR MD, Kenya Pipeline MD, and the PS have resigned. They were taken up. By the time you arrest them, it is not on speculation. It is because there's an act. There is oil that has been brought into the country, irregular. KEBS has said it is not substandard. So the fact that they have not been charged, they're just covering up.
Okay.
Allow me to tell you. Allow me to tell you. President William Ruto is involved in the oil that has come to this country. And if he didn't know, why do we have G2G? He was the guarantor of G2G. He was the guarantor of G2G. So if there is a problem, he must have known at source there is a problem. And allow us to say this, that we are opposition. We only have the alternative. We know what needs to be done. But we are not helping government to do. Because they say they have the experts. They brought in Opio Wandai. Opio Wandai was supposed to be an expert. They said he's an expert. So the expert now, in the ministry.
But let me add to that.
Our time is up, unfortunately.
Because
time is up.
Time is up.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that if I wanted to import oil from Mozambique or Angola or even Nigeria, the CS has to approve my importation. Now you can see we are deadlocked. We probably have cheaper oil from other places in Africa, but because of the G2G, we are locked into that. And from next week, from tomorrow, probably we'll be buying petrol at 250 shillings per litre. You tell me the domino effect on the economy. So who should take responsibility over this?
Well, the CS for Energy today said he will not resign. Let's see how the cookie crumbles, as they say, because the buck stops with someone. And if it's not the PS, well, maybe it's the CS. Let's see how it all plays out. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to further discussions that will definitely feed into the knowledge of our viewers back at home. We were joined by Onesmus Ngogoyo, Member of Parliament, Kajiado North, Joe Mutambu, the former Member of Parliament, Mwingi Central. He said the incoming. Well, that's a story for another day. Harrison Kinyanjui is the advocate of the High Court. Asanteni sana for your time, and that's how we wrap up tonight's edition of KTN Prime.